guys, welcome to
the brand new podcast, Young and in Love. Young and in Love.
Young and in Love.
This is the podcast, Young and in Love. Hello, young lovers, and welcome to another episode of Young and in Love. Young and in Love. Again, I'm Josh.
And I'm Taylor.
We're the Andersons. And this is Young and in Love. Young and in Love. Young and in Love.
Young and in Love.
This is Young and in Love. We're going to take a quick moment and highlight one of our sponsors, Anchor.
So if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let us explain.
It's free. All you need to do is download their app or visit their website, which is anchor.fm.
Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more.
They will literally take care of all of the distribution services, so all you have to do on the day of is hit publish. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone using an app or computer if you'd much rather just use the website.
You can even make money from your podcast without even having one listener.
Yeah, without a single listener, they'll find sponsors that are willing to give you a chance and give you a shot at making money.
It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place.
So all we ask is that if you have a story to tell or a message to share, that you download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. When I had an idea to start a podcast, I had no idea where to start. But I had listened to Candace and Casey's Couples Therapy, and they had mentioned an app called Anchor. And I was really intrigued to see how really simple it could be to make a podcast.
Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's free and ridiculously easy to use. And now Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means that you can get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now by reading this ad.
So, if you always wanted to start a podcast and make money doing it, go to anchor.fm/start. That's Anchor, as in ANCHOR.FM/START to join me in the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. I can't wait to hear your guys' podcasts. Welcome to yet another...
Yikes. Ew. Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Young and in Love. I'm Taylor.
And I'm Josh. Today we'll be talking a little bit about our experiences as a young couple and things that we've had to go through or things that have affected us. It'll be a very good conversation, I hope, about our individual experiences, not our experiences as a couple, but experiences that have been caused by being young and married. Tay, why don't you go ahead and just right off the top of your dome, tell us your overall experience, how it's been in these last, what are we up to now, 10?
Yeah.
10 months. No.
Oh no,
We're
11.
11, yeah. We're finishing
Guys,
11.
almost a year.
11 months. So let us know, what has your experience been like in these last 11 months?
Well, personally, I think it's great. The beginning was like the first 3 months or so. It was really hard. It was pretty hard. Harder than I'd like to admit that it was. But since then it's gotten a lot better. But I think the first 3 months were so hard just because we're in our 20s, and so the past few years when we were making all these big decisions, we only had to worry about ourselves. So we're still pretty selfish. Don't have kids yet. and really have like no one else to like take care of. But when we first got married, like we were both like very selfish, and now you have to like work with another person to like figure everything out, you know? So like that was hard because like I had different opinions on things and different like expectations, and you had different expectations. But then like going like against that, almost like we're still young enough that we're not like set in our ways yet. So like that's nice because we've been able to like shape each other and like come up with a mutual like agreement or like stance on different things. So that's been like really nice like too. But like sometimes the opinions of like others are sort of tough. So I mean, obviously it's not common to get married like when you're in your early 20s. In fact, like I think people more nowadays like wait until they're like 30s or like late 20s. They just don't see like the point in getting married young. And I've had like lots of friends and strangers, and they find out that I was like engaged or married, and they're just like, why? Like whether that's because like they like are divorced, or like they've been married and they know how hard it is, or they know that all the things that come in marriage that aren't always easy that we're going to be going through earlier than most people. Are just like, why would you like, I don't know, sign up for something so early before you even know like who you are yet, is like what they always told me. Or I don't know, they just thought I was like missing out on something, like I wasn't living my life enough before I got married. And so sometimes that can be really hard because people can be judgmental and mean, and I'm really like easygoing, so like I take all these things to heart. But some people on the other side are really supportive, but that's I think that's more rare.
Yeah, I've been sort of having this like, it's not existential, but that's what everybody says, this existential crisis. It's like an inner battle for me. And I actually mentioned this to you the other day about people who are negative in my life.
Right.
There's enough people that are positive and uplifting that anytime I see something that's negative, I always just question why. Why do you have to be so negative? And it comes up a lot when people talk about their kids. Because we're a young couple, people make the assumption that our next step as a young couple is to have kids, and then they immediately start talking bad about having kids. And obviously that doesn't get anyone excited about the fact of having kids. But one person that I really look up to is Jimmy Fallon, because anytime he talks about his family or about his kids, he's always so positive. He never mentions the negative sides or the fact that he got lack of sleep when his kids were young, but he's always so excited to talk about his kids and about what joy they bring him and other things like that. So that's just one example of how people are negative, but other things like you trying to make moves, like me trying to make moves professionally, or to like go outside my comfort zone, and people just start to ask why would you push yourself, and just overly critical
Right.
about our life, and that sort of gets frustrating. Instead of being uplifting, people are trying to tear you down, and
Right.
sort of like they always say, oh, I'm just trying to be realistic, but that's their reality.
Right. And that's what like bugs me, like even though like we don't have kids yet, and like I don't know like how like it is going to be, but I don't think one person should like tell us like how it's going to be based off their own experiences. Like just because they have a certain experience or certain opinions about like different things that are going on doesn't mean we're going to have the same thoughts and opinions or experiences that they have had. So don't tell me something that like I haven't yet experienced because you have no idea how it's going to be, you know?
Right. Yeah, it brings into question the actual like definition of reality, right?
Right.
Because people think there's just this simple dichotomy between reality and fantasy. Mm-hmm. That if you can't achieve it yourself, or if someone can't achieve it themselves, they automatically assume that it's a fantasy. Whereas if like, I am always striving to do the best that I can, or to really push myself and achieve my dreams. And I'm all about making dreams a reality and going after those types of things. If you really care about it, then you're going to go after it. Whereas other people, when they see you going after your dreams, they almost want to tear you down. Like,
Right.
They don't want you to achieve your dreams because they didn't achieve theirs, most likely. And that's where that negativity comes from. Like, if they couldn't do what they had always dreamed to do, then they want to tear everyone else down. And I guess I see that a lot because I follow a lot of creative people, like on YouTube and things. And obviously this doesn't have a ton to do with our relationship, but the fact that these people are making a living on YouTube or Instagram, and they're doing what they've always loved to do, whether it be starting their own business, or photography, or videography, or professional athletes, or esports, professional video gamers, things like that, and they're doing non-conventional things and making money, and people who see that, and to see them making money doing things they love, whereas there's other people who are making money simply flying a desk for a living, or in that 9 to 5 where they just like are suffering through the day, just living for the weekend. They always get upset. And I think that same thing happens when people see us in a young relationship, already committed to a marriage. They just automatically assume or think like, what are you doing?
Right.
And they just want to distort our reality because it doesn't fit theirs.
Right. And I can think of so many experiences that we've had, like even together, like out in public or something, or like someone will like comment to us and then they immediately follow up with like a negative like experience or whatever, like that. When we were in Savannah, we met this guy outside of the Pink House restaurant. We were talking to him. I don't remember why. I think he took our picture or something. Yeah. But yeah, he was a really nice guy. And I guess he was still married to his wife for like 50 something like years.
Yeah, a long time.
And he like asked how old we were, and we like told him, and he was shocked that like we were that young and like married. And he immediately said just like how like terrible like the first few years were, and like how hard it is, and like all this stuff, instead of being really supportive. And like that sucks. Like that happens so often too. Yeah. Like
it almost makes me feel like these people are no longer in love.
Right.
Like they're
just
first
together
couple,
out of like habit.
Yeah, the first couple years were so terrible, but either they were too prideful to change or too scared to say that they failed, which I guess is a little bit of pride as well. And then after like their 5 years of awful marriage, they just decided, well, this is how life is now, so I'm going to keep living. And then they've done it for the last 40 years.
Which is so terrible, right? Because like marriage is, like, I'm not saying that marriage is easy or like should be easy, because like you're supposed to be growing and like growing together, and with growth comes like being uncomfortable and like pain and like vulnerability and like all that stuff that's really hard. But like marriage is something to be like enjoyed and like celebrated, but not to be endured. Like if you have to endure a marriage, I mean like you should, right. But like just being married just to like get through it, like what? That's not a life like I want to live. That's not a life that anyone should live. Like it should be, I mean, yes, there's gonna be hard times, but like overall it should be like a joyous thing, you know? And if there is a problem, that's why I love so much that we like both have read stuff by Brené Brown and like studied vulnerability, because when there's a problem and like a conflict and like you have to go something really hard, like you have to be willing to be vulnerable in order to like fix it. And like the problem isn't going to resolve itself. Like you have to like really challenge yourself, and I like come to a point where like you just have to like break down and be vulnerable and just really raw in order to like build yourself back up and like fix the problem and move on. And if you never do that, and if you never like do hard things and like open up and be vulnerable, like that change, that turnaround of the hard times is like isn't gonna get better. I mean, maybe it like will like briefly like you cover it up with some stuff, but it's still gonna be there. Like you just can't move on from that, you know?
Right. And I think from these experiences, we've gained a resolution to say, to make it a conscious effort to not do those things, to not shut down, to not just become complacent with each other and to think, oh, well, that's just the way she is, or that's just the way I am.
Right.
So that's the way it's going to be. We've both made this strong resolution in our head that we're going to be better and that we want to do things differently. We don't want to have the same problems that our parents had or their parents had or the people around us have with their marriage. We're doing our best to learn from those around us and to really take people's positive feedback and advice to heart so that we can be better in our own marriage. And that brings up another point that just really irks me, is when we say, like, no, it's going to be different. Like, we're going to do things differently. And then that skeptic, whoever's in front of you, goes, oh, you'll see. Every time someone says, oh, no, you'll see, the first thing that comes to my head is just, screw you. Like, I immediately turn off. Whatever they say after that, that is my off switch. If you want me to value your opinion, then don't just say, oh no, you'll see. Because I immediately throw anything out that they told me. And you could say that's prideful, or that's like ignorant because I just don't know. But I just don't believe in that. I don't believe in the fact that simply because your reality was a certain way doesn't mean I can change and do things differently. And that I can have that happy marriage. And that my kids can bring me joy. And the fact that I can find joy in staying up till 2 a.m. because my kid is sick. Or that I can take joy in caring for you as my wife when you're feeling down about yourself. Like finding those silver linings and actually holding on to them. Not just looking at a rainbow and going, oh, that's pretty, I wish I could be near it.
Right.
You know, where people are wishing for that positivity that lays beyond the horizon. I don't want to live a life like that. So yeah, when people come at me and I'm like, oh, well, like we're working through things, or like we had a little hiccup, but we talked to each other about it, and then people are like, oh, you'll just get used to it.
Right. I think, I don't know, like when we talk to people, I think people almost like assume that like what we expect marriage to be is like almost like a fantasy, like a perfect, like we're picturing or like signing up for like a perfect story almost. But I think both you and I can both agree that like we don't expect it to be easy. Like obviously, like I don't expect marriage to be easy. I don't expect parenthood to be easy at all. I expect it to be really hard. Like, and I know it's going to be hard. And I think one of the benefits that we've both had, like, growing up is that we've seen from our parents, like, well, my parents were never afraid to, like, hide their disagreements from us, the kids. And I think that can be both good or bad. But, like, they also didn't hide, like, their affection and their love towards one another a lot of the time. So, like, I saw that, like, both things happen, right? So, like, I knew that, like, maybe not to the extent of, like, anger that happens, but, like, I knew that we were going to have, like, disagreements and, like, not everything's going to be, like, perfect situations with our kids and stuff, but I don't know. I just think that's really important for kids to see growing up that, like, it's okay to fight as long as you resolve the problem, like, as well.
Right. And you're civil about it.
Right.
Yeah, I remember a lot of times where, like, voices were raised either between me and my parents or like me and my siblings, and like it's never constructive, it's never uplifting, and you never really resolve anything once you raise your voice and sort of get uncivil about your discussion. I like making parallels between different stories. So although we're talking about relationships, I don't think every lesson to be learned about relationships is learned in love stories. And I think one story that comes to mind and that ties in really well with what we're talking about is the story of Walt Disney. How fitting that we live in Florida now, just 2 hours away from Disney World. But there's a really good documentary or docu-film, or whatever they call them now, where it's based on a true story, but they might exaggerate a couple things. But it's on Netflix, and it's called Walt Before Mickey.
Yeah.
And it's a really cool story because it shows everything about Walt Disney before he started Disney. And so it shows those struggles that he had in his family life. It shows the struggles that he had starting his own animation company, and the fact that he was trying to do something different that a lot of people didn't want to do, and didn't want to see, and the struggles that came with that. But also how he found joy in the passion of illustrating, and how he pushed through all the hardships because of his determination and his drive to do something that no one else had ever done before. And now we see that, right? We're, 70, 80, I don't know how long ago that was. 80, maybe 90 years ago now that Walt Disney was around and the establishment that he was trying to start.
Mm-hmm.
And now we see, right? No one would ever question what Disney does. And it's become the status quo. It's become reality that animations are like that. But when he was starting out, no one believed in him.
Right.
So I think the same thing happens now, is that so many people are used to make the tie to watching silent films or films with people in them and not cartoon films, that they don't want to look at our relationship and think that a colorful cartoon with whimsical characters can happen in our life.
Right.
You know, that we can have this picturesque marriage and family life. That was our dog that just twitched and kicked the bed. But anyways, that we can have this picturesque family life and to find joy in our kids and not just be, oh, I'm tired all the time and I'm so terrible.
Right.
Like that we can be uplifting and that we can be a positive influence to our children. And
right. And like even, I don't know, even if, I mean, this can apply to anything. Even if like something in your life is like really hard or you're really struggling with something. I mean, what a world of difference it makes. What like if when you choose to complain about it versus when you like realize that what you're going through is hard, but you focus on the positives. Like, I don't know. I don't want to be a negative Nancy like all the time. Like I try really hard to always be positive and always think about like the bright side of things, and like I want to continue doing that, but like why spread like negativity? Like, you know, like nobody benefits from that at all, you know?
Right.
So I don't know, why just not shoot? I mean, if you can't be positive, just don't say anything, you know?
Right. So this is like a pretty good representation of sort of the feelings that we have about what's happened in the last 11 months and what's been sort of disappointing, but also what has been a positive and like the positives that have come from the last 11 months. And one overwhelming positive for me has been just the reaffirmation. It's just affirmation. The continued affirmation that I made the right choice and that I married you. Because no matter what crazy things happen or disagreements we have or misunderstandings or failed expectations, we continue to move forward and we forgive one another and we still love one another. And even at the end of our worst days, we've still been able to lie down together and go to bed. So that's an overwhelming positive for me. And also the fact that you continue to surprise me, like not each and every day. Because some days are just normal days. But often you surprise me as to things that you're willing to do and things that you're willing to go out of your way to help me or to help those around you or to just be that positive influence, not only in my life, but all the people that we come in contact with. And that is simply been a really big blessing for me, knowing and having that affirmation that you are like the one that I want to continue spending my life with and to start building a family with. So that's what keeps me going. It's what gives me that drive to not let the negativity that comes our way affect me, or to put doubts in my mind, because of those positive reinforcements that I get each and every day.
Aww. I don't know, I feel like I could almost say like the same like about you. Like, I don't know, you say I go out of my way to like help people, and like I'm really nice, and maybe it's the whole like, I don't know, you don't recognize the goodness that's like within you, but if it's within like someone else, like you see it more, you know, like you don't, you know, but like you're so like genuinely like helpful and like kind and like charitable to everyone around you, and that's like super inspiring to me, because even though you could say like I'm the same, like I do those same things too, like seeing you also be that way like wants to make like those things in me like even better, or I don't know, just to like help other people more, or I don't know. And like you're always there to like cheer me on, and you encourage me a lot of the times where I don't see the goodness that's within me or the drive that I have deep down. And so when I want to give up, you just say, no, like you're not giving up because like XYZ, you know, like that's been super super cool too, because I don't know, like all like growing up, like we've always been taught like, oh, like when you're in a marriage, like the goal is to like drive one another like towards Christ and to become like more Christ like, but with like your service to like each other and like your service to others. And I've seen that so much in like the past year. Like I like from like a year ago, I don't want to say like we're crazy different, because we're not, but I think we've changed a lot for the better. Like we've become more efficient as a couple together, but also a more positive couple, a more
Better communication.
Yeah. And I don't know.
And less unrealistic expectations.
Yeah. And I think with those things, like we're able to help more people and to be a better light in other people's lives. And we don't all, it's not just us that are getting the benefits anymore. Like all the positives and great qualities that we have, like other people now can benefit too from them.
We've done a really good job of putting ourselves in a situation, and also we can't leave the fact that we have this belief of a higher power, right? That God has helped us find a situation where we can not only be a benefit to each other, but a benefit to others. And I think that's a blessing that we can always count on, and that we should always strive for, is doing everything we can to put ourselves in a position where we can be better instruments to those around us. And that's a blessing that God has given us. And I'm a firm believer in the fact that no matter what you believe, whether or not you believe in God, or you believe in karma, or you make claims to the universe or several gods, we all believe in the same principles, that we're all here to be better human beings, and that we're here to lift each other up and to progress. No matter what religion you are, at least every religion I've studied, always is talking about progress and how we need to continue to learn and to grow. So whether or not that's given to you by the universe or by karma or by God, it is all the same. So I think my summary of this episode, or my final words to you guys, would be to just to be the positive example in your friend group, to be that positive example in your relationship, to always be striving to be better and to not settle. Mm-hmm. Don't become complacent, because complacency is the enemy to progress. Right? And go ahead.
And I don't think there's like an underlying like joy and complacency, you know? Like I said, like with progress and like growth is challenging and hard, and you have to be like vulnerable, but with that growth comes like positivity and happiness and the realization that like you can do more than what you thought you could, which gives you even more motivation to keep on going and keep on growing. But if you never step outside of the box to do those things, you're not going to realize the own potential that you have within yourself.
Yeah. So that's it. Go out of your way to be the positive example in your life and find people that lift you up, and distance yourself from people that tear you down, because no matter how strong each and every one of us is, we can only take so much, right? We can only take so much before it all starts to weigh on us. We appreciate the continued support from everyone. We look forward to more interactions between you guys. We are going to put together a list of future guests that we're going to be working with to get onto the show, so that we have that promised variety coming. If you'd like to share any messages or like to be on the podcast, make sure you reach out to either one of us. You can message the podcast itself at Young Love PC on all social networks, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, or you can reach out to me. I am at Whimsical Joshua on all social medias, and Taylor.
On Instagram, I'm Taylor Page _1.
Yep.
That's on Instagram. I don't know what I am. Oh, on Twitter, I'm like Wifey Anderson or something.
Wifey Anderson.
Yeah.
Yep. So reach out, or if you're a friend of ours, find us on Facebook. We assume that most of you are our friends. So drop us a DM on either one of those, or just shoot us a text if you'd like to be on. We're always thankful for our sponsors and appreciate you guys listening to those ads. We know they're kind of goofy sometimes, but we're doing our best to make it as natural as possible. And we will see you guys next week. Yes. Or hear from you. Or you will hear from us next week.
Yeah.
Just keep listening. And keep loving. And keep living. And keep that chin up. And we will hear from you guys next week.
Bye.